Welcome to the Weaponized Marriage Podcast. I'm your host, Kendra Hewitt.
I'm Ryan Hewitt.
And you lead a conversation today.
I am, okay.
Leader.
Well, yeah, we're going to talk about leadership. I feel like the topic of leadership came up a lot for me. I'm part of, they hate it when I call it a group, but it's a gathering of chiropractors. There's 30 of us plus senior knights called the Chiropractic Knights of the Round Table. And it's a gathering of men. We get together 3 times a year, once with the wives. And they're all men of high standard and caliber, all businessmen with children, Christian chiropractors, high achieving, all in different stages of their career and life. Some are retired, some are, there's a bunch of old farts in the group. I'm sure they'd love me to say that. I'm the youngest in the group as of now.
They're fun old farts.
Yeah, they're great. They're the best, just amazing mentors. Anyway, so this last gathering was in Oceanside, California. And one just overriding narrative of a lot of the conversation was leadership. So much so that I just bought an audiobook called The 21 Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell, sorry. I can't believe I've never actually read it.
Oh, I have it.
I've just never picked it up and read it. Anyways, I'm listening to it. I was just called to read it. And just the topic of leadership really just was speaking to me. And especially like in business, I've realized that your business just is a complete reflection of the leadership in the practice. For example, for my business, it's a reflection of the owner. And whether it's the energy, whether it's the capacity or the team, everything is a reflection. So like your current production is a complete reflection of who you are at the moment. And, the first law of leadership in John Maxwell's book is the law of the lid. And the law of the lid states that, the lid on your capacity reflects the current leadership that you are exuding. And it just puts complete responsibility on who you are as the owner, founder, CEO. But this also, it is also as meaningful in business as it is in marriage. Mm. So in other words, like the current level that you're at in your marriage, and it's hard to measure, it's not like business. I feel like there's lots of metrics and KPIs, but in marriage, it's a little different. It's more of a feeling, but the current, the current level of leadership that you have, both the man and the woman, is basically your capacity is at where your lid is right now. And it just got me thinking lately about where I'm not leading the way I want to in my marriage. And I think that if we talk about like traditional marriage, you would say that like the male figure or the masculine energy in the marriage is typically the one who's the leader of the marriage, right? Mm-hmm. In a lot of ways, whether that's with like the vision of where the direction you're bringing your life together, whether it's with like the spiritual growth of the family, the production, and then in a lot of cases, the female energy or the woman is a lot with like the creation of the marriage, right? So the creation of the home, and in a lot of different ways, like the money and the children and the family unit.
More the caretaking.
Yeah.
Falls upon the woman.
Yeah.
Typically.
And of course, both, like us, we both participate in both, right? Mm-hmm. You are also a producing woman, mm-hmm. And I'm a producing man, but I also like participate in raising our daughter and, holding up my end of the bargain when it comes to making sure that I'm living up to my agreements in the things that I said I would do, as far as like, even like taking Lily to school or our commitments together, or whether it's like our date nights or, taking Lily at certain times to free you up, or even just chores around the house, right? So like shopping or whatever. But I think this goes beyond just the doing in marriage. And I think I've talked about this on the podcast already, that one of the weakest area that I showed up as a leader in my family was with my erratic nervous system, with my with my energy. And I would say that not having a regulated nervous system in the home, and that led to, I think, like a feeling of uneasiness for you and for Lily. Mm-hmm. Just having a home that's like, oh my God, like what kind of Ryan's going to show up? Is he going to be like irritated, pissed off? Did he have a bad day? Can I talk to him tonight? Can I tell him about something important I want to tell him? Or do I have to hold off? You know, is he going to be like easygoing? What's it going to be like? So I think one of the things that I've really focused on in the last year and continue to focus on is regulating my nervous system, because we talked about this recently, that one of the jobs that I feel strongly about this now, that one of the jobs as the man of the household is to protect the peace, right? So it isn't to like create the peace, it's more to like protect the peace.
And that, like how it was described to us too, how I received that was, it's the woman's job. How it was explained to us in a very organic conversation was, it's a woman's job to create the peace. Mm-hmm. And it's a man's job to protect it. And I thought that was really interesting. I didn't know what it meant but I'm going to let you keep going. But I just wanted to like say that piece so it had full context.
Yeah. And as the man being the provider and protector. So for me, I always thought this was like, well, I have to bring home the bacon. I got to like make money. And then I also, you know, I want to be a dangerous dad. I want to be like physically able.
I saw your post today.
Well, listen, that's real. Okay. Yeah. I just reposted something today that there was a child pedophile talking to the police, and because the police were trying to find out more about the psychology of people that are predators like that. It's disturbing as hell. But one thing that he made clear was like, he would pick out weak men that he could easily snatch kids from. Mm-hmm. Like I was like, oh, so like, listen, like I don't need to be like scary looking, but I need to be able to be capable of violent action if needed.
That's also an energy, right?
It's an energy. Yes. So I'm protective of my family and I'm able to protect my family. Right. But beyond that. So anyways, that to me, like that was my definition of just mm-hmm. those things. But the more I've learned and the more I've realized how like that didn't get me a happier wife and laid more, and like
you didn't need to be physically more fit.
Yeah, but that wasn't even that. I didn't need to make more money. I didn't need to be mm-hmm. more physically fit. So I had to learn how to like protect the peace of my home, because if I wasn't making you feel safe, and to you, I was like, well, to make you feel safe, I just need to be like physically fit and like have, you know, safety when it came to money. Mm-hmm. Right. But that wasn't the whole equation. Right?
Yeah. One thing that I've been playing with a lot too is, it's been coming up, man, it came up a lot for me today, is thinking about the concept. We've talked a lot about it lately because we've been in it, about being safe in your relationship. And I don't mean physically safe. I mean emotionally safe more so. Obviously both are important, and it came to me really clear today. I was like, oh man, before you can be clear, you have to feel safe. So the safety becomes before the clarity of like the direction of what you want your home to look like, what you want your marriage to look like,
yeah,
what you want your life to look like.
You can't create from chaos.
Yeah.
You can't
oh my God. That's like, I love that. That just came out of your mouth.
Okay. Thanks.
That's great.
Yeah. So you can't create from chaos. So, and the other thing I discovered was that, so I'm speaking about having, from a man's perspective, having leadership of your family, right? So it's not just being like physically dangerous. It's not just producing and making money, right? It's regulating your nervous system. And number two, it's also being able to create peace in your home and having your wife feel safe so she can open up and like really open up to you. It's the best way for me to put it. And then and only then can you ever initiate hard conversations. If you're trying to initiate hard conversations, let's say you want to talk about a painful topic. Let's just say it's money. You want to talk to your wife about money, and your wife is like, you're in chaos and your home is erratic, then that's not going to go well. Mm-hmm. Especially with a hard topic.
There's going to be no appropriate time for a hard topic to be addressed. It's going to be avoided, because if you're coming at from a dysregulated place and you're trying to initiate a hard conversation on top of it, that's like a recipe for disaster.
Yes. And if you're in a place in your marriage where there's resentment, if it's like if you're a man and you're resenting your wife because she's not showing up sexually the way you want, she's not showing up soft the way you want.
Not just sexually.
Well,
in any like
soft or feminine or the way you want, because I think that's the most common way that men become resentful, right? And for a woman, if your guy is showing up erratic and is showing up dysregulated and just constantly chaotic and you don't feel safe, like that's a recipe for resentment towards the man, right? So it's like, this guy's not protecting my peace. He's not making me feel safe, and you're going to feel resentment. That's why you can turn this resentment into leadership if you take ownership of your part in it, right? So the only way you can move forward when you're in that place is to initiate hard conversations. The only way you can get to a place together where you can initiate hard conversations is if you are able to get to a place where you both feel safe.
Yes. And also the only way to dissipate resentment is for the male to take the lead.
That's right.
But that also is dependent on one thing, and that is the woman allowing the man to actually take the lead. And what many women don't do, myself included, I really struggled with this, was know how to convey or communicate what leadership in their marriage looks like.
Yeah. I mean, partially it's up to the man to figure that out. But like, if the woman is constantly criticizing, constantly like nagging, tearing their man down, like that is a recipe for like just feeding into more chaos, anger, and like
you're just feeding their chaos,
weakness,
their own internal chaos, right, which is going to be reflected out, which is like the number one step, I think, of leading with clarity is for you to, I think that there's a part of every man that's reactive, right? And that reactivity, one of the biggest things you can control is the volume of it. Like if you come at a hard conversation with intensity, which used to do this all the time for me. And just like you were saying, when you would come home, I'd be like, oh, what version of Ryan is coming home? Which, believe it or not, that's more usually typically a question asked of a feminine person, right? Because it is more feminine. Feminine is about flow and emotion, right? And it is more typical to ask that of a woman, of like, oh God, what version of Kendra's coming home today?
Especially a hormonal woman.
Yes, or perimenopausal woman for sure, even more so. So think about the reverse in roles of like, hey, how I have to harden when you used to come at me. Like I would visually see, like, it took me a lot of work to get here, but I would visually see like my shield go up, right? And it would be like, I always think about like kind of like in Game of Thrones when they're like shields up and all the people are shielding. Yeah, they're making a shield wall from the arrows that are getting shot at them, right? And that was physically how I used to feel. Like I could feel my body put the shield up of like, okay, arrows are coming. Like, and instead of like being like, oh, being open to receiving you, because like I said, I never knew what level of arrow was coming at me. Was it one on fire? Was it one on, like silent but deadly? And so I think that part of it is that like the first step of like leading with clarity is controlling the tone and the volume of what you're coming and the energy you're bringing to that hard conversation that you're looking to have. Or maybe it's not a hard conversation. It's still energy matters.
Yeah. What are you talking about? Yelling?
Yeah. Yeah.
Say that.
It's so easy for like, I mean, I can't even count the times of like how many times I'd be like, will you stop yelling? And you'd be like, I'm not yelling.
Well, you don't understand that I literally never thought that I was yelling. Like it was just,
and I think that's very common. Well, that's very common is what I'm saying.
Once it became intense, the volume of my voice would just escalate. Yeah. Now, whether that's like because I was coming from a place of insecurity, because that's what I watched growing up. I don't know. I mean,
I think more so for you is that you are intense about everything. And I've had to learn how to, at the beginning, it felt like manage that intensity. But now you've taken leadership and ownership of managing that intensity so much more often. I feel like I've been relieved of that job. No, that's a really, like,
No,
I'm
is.
trying to say that as a really nice compliment,
I appreciate
actually.
it. I mean, I could just see I can see that releases a piece of resentment towards me in and of itself.
Oh, interesting.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, like, my resentment always stemmed from like a place of like connection, intimacy, sex, and that like I wanted that female soft version of you, but I would always fail to take ownership and leadership in my doing of the hardening of Kendra. Okay. And I think like it took me a long time to figure it out. It's like, I have to be the one to take the lead on fixing this.
Right. But then as a male, you're not taught on what that looks like. And I didn't know how to articulate what that looked like.
No. And this isn't necessarily happen to everybody. Right. But I think it's pretty common that like a man who especially is in business, there's a lot of responsibility. It's like everything falls on you. There is no, like, the buck stops with you in every way, shape, and form. Not only in the beginning did I like sort of like push some of that your way, but I also like blamed you for some things. And then I would expect you to just be like feminine Kendra for me. And it, clearly that was not a good strategy, but that almost happened almost by default, right? Just when you don't know what you don't know. But I think what we've gotten really good about over time is like not only me helping create the peace, you releasing resentment, me managing my volume, my tone, and the clarity of our conversations, but also when you're in a place where you can be clear and in a good, I guess, like whatever you want to call it, like a safety nest, you're both feeling safe and like open, right? The best way I can put it is like you're open. Then you can make decisions from your values and not from your mood, right? Because I think in a lot of cases we would say shit we didn't mean. And it would come from a place of like anger, resentment, guilt, shame, and you're not making good decisions. Like you can't make good business decisions if you're making emotional decisions like that. Yeah. Nor can you make
it's
good
why it's not
decisions.
Like it's not what's the word I want to like it's not encouraged in the business world, right? Like I worked, especially when I was younger, I worked in so many male dominated industries. I look back at this now and I was like, man, these were such gifts, but I didn't realize they were gifts until just recently. Is that like one of my favorite, I worked as a marketing consultant and I worked for a lot of startups. And most of them, with the exception of one, can I think of that I was the only female in the boardroom in some of these startup groups. And I think about it as like, man, I was just like drilled and conditioned to not be emotional.
Yeah.
And
not in a way of like out of control emotional. This shut down even your good emotions, like your joy and like, and fulfillment and happiness and like just love and all that.
Yeah. And I remember like when I just decided, I was like, dude, I'm done with this. Like I just knew I was done with that. And part of it was, it felt so inauthentic to me, out of alignment with who I was at my core. And I think about it now too, like just like in terms of our marriage. And it's like one of the biggest things that is hard. And this is hard for people that are in business together, but it's just hard in marriage is like what's your routine to turn it off? Like, and you call it like touch the tree. Remember, I was telling someone else.
I don't have any trees in my driveway or my yard.
Yeah. But can you, I think that story is like really valuable. Can you share that with just so like
I don't
it's
know
concise?
The story, but
well, what I can't remember what his name was. I could share with you.
No idea.
The guy from the first plant, Kurt, or
I don't know.
About when you come home, turning it off before you walk in the door.
Yeah, the way I think about it is not touch a tree; it's just take off your armor.
Ooh, I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, when you when you're in business, I mean, you put your armor on, right? For me as a healer, I have to put on my armor that I don't take on everybody's pain and suffering and, a lot of their not even negative energy, just like, because I'm trying to help release them from that. So if I'm not careful, then I can take in a lot of that because I am empathetic. So I do put on armor when I go to work, and it's not just for patient care, but it's also regulating and managing my emotions because I have a team to manage. And if I'm emotional with my team, then it's not a good state to make decisions, to, have any sort of constructive criticism or anything like that, nor make any, I guess, important decisions when it comes to leading my company. So I can't come home and keep that armor on and try to manage my family because it doesn't work. Right. So you have to have a different energy when you walk in the door versus when you are in your business, or when you're a worker, you're a corporate employee. It's the same thing. You're different. You have a different operating system, right? At home versus when you're in.
But that's what I'm saying is that you didn't know that for a long time. So.
Well, I was just dysregulated for a long time. So now I would take this out. I would take out all of this in I didn't do a lot of combat sports. I did some Krav Maga, I did some jiu-jitsu, I did some stuff like that, but it was mostly in the weight room with the barbell, with CrossFit. And I would literally beat myself until I could feel, till I could feel fall on the floor. My heart's going to explode. I'm sweating puddles. I literally have no ounce of strength left. I'm literally beat to a pulp. And I'll be okay, now I'm good. Right. But I figured out that's not sustainable. You actually will break yourself that way, which that's how I fucked up my hormones. That's how I fucked up a lot of my joints.
Yeah. And that's why you have some of the businesses you have today is because you hit that rock bottom by that method of that story. So it served you to a certain point, but at the same time, it also gave you a gift. But at the breakdown of it was breaking our marriage. Like I said, if you come home with armor on, I'm going to have the shield up before you even freaking open your mouth because I don't need to physically see the armor. I can sense it, right? Oh man, I want to share this one thing that I just thought of.
Okay. Oh man, here we go.
Okay, so I did this. It was the first Bible study I'd ever done on my own, and it was this Bible study by this woman named Priscilla Shear. Recommended to me by a friend, and it was called The Armor of God.
Well, I'm going to let Huckleberry in. Hold on. Keep going.
And our dog's trying to come in and be part of the conversation. And the armor of God, when she talks about it, she talked about how the first thing that goes on is the belt of truth. That's one of the first lines of it. I think it's Ephesians, or I don't know where in the Bible it is, but in this Bible study, I want to say this probably about 2 years ago, I did this self-study. And I remember reading the belt of truth and just sitting there, just taking it in. And the reason that the belt of truth is so significant is this. In battle, they were talking about Roman warriors in this scenario. They would put on their belt of truth because the belt of truth was the first thing that they would put on to protect, obviously, their goods. But also it had hooks on it that they would then attach all of their other armor to. So they would attach, I don't know what it's called, but it almost looks like a wire,
chainmail, breastplate, whatever.
Chainmail. But then the breastplate would go over it. Their sword would be attached to it. The only thing that was not attached to it was how they portrayed it was the helmet of salvation, right? And then the shoes of peace. And on the belt of truth, I remember it's feeling so significant to me on the belt of truth. That is every relationship, whether it's you're talking about your relationship with God, with your relationship with yourself, your relationship with each other, has to start with the belt of truth being put on. And when you just said that visual of the armor, I was like, holy shit. I was like, there was just something that shifted in me when you said that, because it's can you reframe that, putting the right armor on for the right situations? And But with you coming in with the armor already on, the visual of the armor on, not knowing it at the time, I'm going to have to respond, especially if I don't have any armor on. And so just really starting to think about, like, for me, what I was just saying is like starting to break down resentment in your marriage. Because it's like, how do you tell someone how to do that? Like, I want people to get value from us even having this conversation, because we didn't know how to do that. And the first part is like, that came to me was like, the first step is the belt of truth. Be in truth. Mm-hmm. But you can't be in truth if you're coming from a place of attack. And then the other person has to put up their shield. Right. So I don't know. I just felt like that was significant that I needed to share that right now. Sorry.
No, sorry. That's good. I like that. So you asked a good question. What was it again?
Oh, I'm sorry. I know where that came from, because you talked about making decisions from your values, not from your mood.
Yeah.
And the first value that I thought of was honesty, like having the value of truth.
Right. So I think the first good question to ask yourself, and I do remember asking questions like this, is like, where, I think it was more you, because I'm more of a loudmouth than you. Like, where have you gone quiet? Like, where have you gone quiet in your marriage? Where are you afraid to speak up in your marriage because you're afraid of the consequences or the fallout? There's a rub there.
Yeah.
Right. In other words, you're not being truthful to one another. Right. If there's still something you're afraid to tell your spouse, or afraid to let them know, or afraid to ask them, there's a rub.
Yeah. And it could be you're afraid to ask them just because you don't know how. But like that's a great segue right there. It's like, where have you gone quiet?
Yeah. So that would be one step towards figuring out how to become a better leader in your marriage, would be like, find out where those, and you're not going to like try to attack all those rubs at once, but those are good places to start. Another one you came up with, and I think this was something you resented me a lot for a long time, was that you felt like I was always waiting for you to tell me what to do.
Oh God. Yeah. I did talk about this one.
So, and the way I see it, where it's the most devastating and the most consequential, is not like me waiting for you to tell me to take out the garbage, or you waiting for me to tell me to like get the roof rake out and, get the snow off the roof because the ice dams are going to fuck up the gutters, or like waiting for you to tell me to go mow the lawn. It's more about like, we're getting tired of waiting for me to lead in our marriage and to like cast the vision of where we are going. Like, hey, where are we going? Like, what are we working towards? What are some of the things that we are going to do with our money? What are some of the things that we want for Lily? Where do you envision her going to school? Like, do we want to live in this house for the next 10 years? Like, are you going to like be still working the same hours in 5 years? Right. So, and those are still some things that I know that I'm not there when it comes to being a great leader in that category. I'm more of like, I live day to day in the moment, according to my schedule, and I know what I'm working towards as far as my goals. But as far as like 3, 5, 10-year visions, like that's where I have work to do.
Okay. 2 things. One, I'm getting so excited about this. One is, even that, as a female hearing you as my husband saying that, what I hear is willingness is worthiness. Like, sometimes all a woman wants to hear is that you're willing to take the lead. Not necessarily what the step is to take. And the other thing that I heard was, I was thinking about this the other day too, and I feel like I was thinking about that to drop this here in this moment.
Okay. Way to set it up.
I was thinking about, let's go back. This is the weaponized marriage. Let's go back to the battle metaphor, because it's a good visual, right? In battle, there's probably more than the 3 things I'm going to name that you can do. And I have no military background, nor desire to have any. So I'm going to say it how I heard it. Women are waiting for you to say, we need to hold the line. Like, every time we watch a war type of show, it's like, what are the 3 commands that the leader of the army says? Number 1, hold the line. meaning stay still. I need you to stay still. We're not ready to make an advance yet. The second thing that they could say is what?
Charge.
Right? Or
retreat.
All of them are 3 very important leadership commands. Important leadership commands.
Okay.
If you were to yell those things and keep it that broad, your woman would see you as the leader. Whether you fucked up by telling us to attack, whether you fucked up by telling us to hold the line, or whether you fucked up by telling us to retreat. But all 3 things are leadership, just in different capacities.
Where's their decisions?
Because they're decisions and they are clear.
Yeah, a woman wants a decisive husband.
Yes, we want you to say, it's time to attack. We want, and I choose you to go with me. Mm-hmm. We want you to say, it's time for you to retreat. I got you.
Right.
And we also want you to say, let's just stand still and see what happens when that is appropriate to do. And I just I don't know, as you were talking about it, I was like, holy shit, this is why I was thinking about this for this moment, to speak that out. And maybe it's just me that needed to hear that or speak it out, but it's like just the willingness for you to make those 3 commands. Hold the line, advance, retreat. That's willingness. Mm-hmm. Even though you might not know if it's going to fucking backfire. Even though you don't know if we're going to get flanked from behind. Even though if you don't know if we are going to win the battle, it's still a decisive leadership. And that's what a woman is looking for.
That's good. I like it.
Which brings us to the third thing that we wrote down.
Yeah, I suppose the last thing we wrote down, if you were to think about like, where could you start becoming a better leader, right? Think about where have you gone quiet and what have you not, been truthful about, or what are you unwilling to talk to your spouse about? Where are you waiting to be told what to do? And number 3 would be where are you choosing convenience and comfort over leadership?
Yeah.
The 3 things we came up with, which is very easy to do. I think this one is probably the one where you have to get the most out of your comfort zone, because it's great to be comfortable.
This is the needle mover.
It's great to sit still.
But it also brings us back to where you started this episode, which is the law of the lid.
Well, yes, and exactly. And, again, so your marriage is only going to grow as much as the leadership you're willing to take on, right?
Look at my ADHD just completed a loop.
That's amazing. Amazing.
For the first time ever.
But that can mean a lot of things though, right? Where you're choosing, comfort or convenience over leadership. It could be like, hey babe, my salary's great. Kids are doing fine. We're pretty good. Like life is good. And I think there's a degree of like gratitude and happiness and satisfaction that you need to take from that, right? It's not that you always have to be grinding, which is what we're trying
absolutely not.
We're trying to get better at that.
We're not trying to get better. We are getting better at it.
Yeah. I'm a strong believer in natural law, and natural law tends towards chaos, entropy. But do you know what the opposite of entropy is? Enthalpy, right? Enthalpy is a tendency towards organization, but
I need more of that.
The tendency towards organization takes effort, energy, time, and like focus, right? So if you're just standing still and you're just blasé and comfortable, like you're always tending towards entropy, which is like disorder, chaos, fall apart, right? And it's not that like you always have to be waiting for the other shoe to drop, but if you're not continuing to work towards some worthy growth, then I think life will pass you by. And that's the best way to have regret, is to just like check out.
Yeah. And we've had this conversation. I think we've talked about this a little bit on the podcast, is the hardest place to grow from is when you are actually uncomfortable.
No.
When you're comfortable, sorry.
Yes.
Because it is harder to leave that comfort zone because you're just like, wow, it's so great here. Why would I risk it not being so great to get to the next level? Right. Or the next. And we talked about this a lot before, is like, it's really easy to coach someone that needs to be called out, meaning they're in a place of pain. So you just tell them the truth and then you teach them how to get what they want.
Well, yeah, when your back's against the wall.
When your back's against the wall.
You have no
It
choice.
is way more difficult to coach someone who's comfortable.
Yeah.
Because that means they're going to have to put way more chips in the game than they've currently learned.
Well, they have a lot more to lose.
Yep. And they have a lot more to lose, meaning they have to put way more chips in. And the third place is like, or you can be called in, I like to say, is like, and called in is like calling in people that are going to support you, that are going to gradually help you get to the next level, but they're not going to help you get. Calling in isn't going to get you to the next level as quickly as someone that can really leave their comfort zone. And as cliche as it sounds, like, what's that like saying about how like your comfort zone?
What about it?
I don't know. One of the things that I was just thinking about is that, like, have you ever heard the saying, if you argue, the good thing about arguing for your limitations, have you ever heard this?
No.
Is you get to keep them.
Okay.
And I think about that. That's when I think about comfort zones. It's like you want to argue so bad with your comfort zone of like, why wouldn't we just stay here? It's so cool. It's so comfortable here. Mm-hmm. This is what I wanted for so long. I wanted to make 7 figures. I wanted to have a marriage with this, like everything on firing on all cylinders. I wanted to have this amazing family. And I do have that. But you're saying it's time for me to move out of this zone for more. And you immediately want to like argue, well, just right here is great. This is what I wanted. Instead of creating expansion and moving that lid to the next level where you're like, but I could have this. And to not have guilt and shame, which is scarcity driven, around the fact that your life's fucking awesome, but you still have capacity to have more.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I look at like,
that's a bigger calling.
And that's also choosing comfort, starting to not choose comfort and convenience over leadership. Like choosing leadership is a decision, just like choosing comfort is. Mm-hmm. And here's the cool thing I think about this too, is that like you start choosing leadership over yourself first. Then you get to start to choose leadership in your relationships. And it is going to carry over. You can't be a fucking awesome leader at home and not be an awesome leader at work.
Right.
Like it's going to have a domino effect. And so the better, more conscious you are about leaving your comfort zone and choosing leadership. And it's like a lot of people, I'll say this all the time. I feel like I probably said this 3 times this week. I tell people all the time, I'm on my second marriage, even though I'm married to the same person. And people always, it's a very like, what's that? Intriguing statement,
you really
right?
say that?
Well, yeah. And
it's good.
And I say, because I'm in a marriage now where we, again, have the same partner. However, we choose each other. And I feel like it has taken us a long time. It's taken me specifically a long time to be able to admit that. And I think that that's the same. It's the same thing. It's like, it comes down to you don't have to, I don't have to be married to you. Mm-hmm. I get to be married to you. And one of the things that I've been doing a lot lately is just even thinking about it. I was thinking about this when I was walking Huckleberry, our dog, today, is all of the things. Every time I hear myself, oh, I have to do this today, is changing it to, I get to do this today. Mm. Whether it's working out, whether it's recording this podcast with you, all of these things that come in as almost responsibilities that have to be tended to. What if I look at them as responsibilities that I get to choose? And I'm blessed and I'm lucky and I'm grateful that I get to do. And I can tell you this, it makes me a lot more excited to do them than when the language of, you got to do this.
How does that feel?
What for me? Like it makes it feel like every day can be more fun instead of more cerebral and task oriented. Like, oh, I got to stop now. I got to pick up Lily. I got to stop. I got to do this now.
It's a whole other podcast.
Yeah. So, but again, just coming back to like choosing
To lead
leadership over yourself, that then is going to have a trickle down effect.
Right. Okay. So how are you going to wrap this up?
You're going to wrap it up.
I'll wrap it up by summarizing the questions I want you to ask yourself. In your marriage, where have you been quiet? Where have you been unwilling to speak your truth? And like, what's that all about? Chew on that. Don't stuff that. Where in your marriage are you waiting to be told what to do? And then lastly, where are you choosing convenience and comfort over leadership? So I'll leave you guys with that.
Look at you, the one with the homework.
I know. It's usually you.
Coaching hat.
That's the last thing I want to do. A marriage coach. Yeah. I am highly unqualified.
Oh God, that would be not something I would want to do either.
So if you like this podcast, then like it and share and subscribe. And we love you guys for listening. We appreciate all your messages, and we look forward to meeting up with you guys in 2 weeks.